Joining me now for more, former Undersecretary of Defense and former U.S. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Robert Wilkie. Mr. Secretary, pleasure to have you on, sir. You were actually the one who fired a lot of these people under the VA Accountability Act. Was any of that without merit?
In fact, fired all of them, and it's going to be hard for me to be better than what you just described. So we fired about 8,000 people who were not doing their job. And remember, Carl, and you've chronicled this, we inherited a mess from Obama-Biden. Veterans were dying in the hallways. Veterans were dying on waiting lists. President Trump said, fix it and get rid of them. Yeah. We were dead last in terms of best places to work. When Trump left, we were number 5. But this is testament to what Franklin Roosevelt said, that a government union is a dagger pointed at the heart of the people. He refused, the champion of labor, refused to recognize any government unions because he knew that it was the first step on the road to tyranny. And what you just saw is a group of people who are really the stormtroopers, along with the teachers union, for the American left. These people don't care about veterans. These are people who were fired for putting veterans' lives in danger. And one of the reasons morale went up is that the good people that you just talked about no longer had to cover, no longer had to worry about filing a grievance against a bad employee. Last thing, give you an example. Under Obama-Biden, the unions had free rent in all of our VA hospitals. We had one union president in a VA hospital who had an office 7,500 square feet, and they howled when I kicked him out. This is an obscenity. I'm not surprised because the same crew that gave you Phoenix is right back where they were before President Trump came into office.
Right. And just for the people watching, Phoenix VA was the original waiting list where people died waiting for appointments. Mr. Secretary, though, the bigger problem here is this union rolls in there, 75,000 employees strong, and not once did they give a damn about the veterans. It was only about reinstating the people that probably shouldn't be there in the first place. How do we get back to a place that actually cares about the mission statement that they put on their own website?
Well, we need a president who says, fix it, which is exactly what President Trump did. Well, let me go back to the beginning of this administration. The secretary, and I've been reluctant to get into the D.C. parlor game of going after the people who came after me. But this secretary on day one said his priorities were transgender, DEI, which is fascinating in an organization that's 48% African American, union prerogative, and remote work. What word is missing from those priorities? The word veteran. And by the way, Senator Blackburn just gave a speech 2 weeks ago, Carl, where she said 80% of the VA leadership doesn't even show up, that they're remote. They don't even come to the office. So this is a crisis that needs to be hung around the necks of the Biden administration. The press is silent in 7 languages. Most of the veterans, the old traditional veterans organizations, don't weigh into this. Right. They didn't weigh in and support President Trump when he was trying to fix it. The other thing they've done is they've killed choice. We were able to send half of the veterans on the VA rolls into the private sector. They've now killed that and brought those folks back into the system that you just described.
I'm just so PO'd by this because, you know, the people are willing to go die for this stuff. And we come back and this is the service that we get. I mean, you know, I remember that Trump, you know, choose to serve, choose your doctor. But now we're sitting in a place that apparently just perpetuates its own system. There's no recourse for this. There's no law. There's no lawsuit we can file or anybody can file on behalf of this and get these people back out of there?
Well, they can file lawsuits and say enforce Section 714. That was specifically done to get around the traditional federal bureaucratic protections that have existed for decades by saying VA is unique. VA has a mission unlike any other government agency. It is to protect those who serve. And you had Lincoln's quote on, it's actually not Lincoln's quote. They ripped Lincoln's quote down because they considered it to be sexist and misogynist. It came from his second inaugural address. But that was that was the 5th priority for this leadership. And then I'll give you a last example. They just had a deputy secretary depart. He lived and worked in Phoenix. He, according to Senator Blackburn, he came into the headquarters maybe 1 or 2 days a week, and existed out in Denver. Nobody saw him. But then again, the press is silent in 7 languages. They don't care. This administration is happy to continue the baleful work of the Obama-Biden administration.
Yeah, it is horrible. Well, Secretary Wilkie, we appreciate everything you did while you were there, and hopefully we'll see you back there again, sir.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.